Hey, it's Pastor John here with Coram Church, just responding to another text question from Marriage Matters. This one says, the Bible tells children to obey their parents, but at what age does that end? 18 or 21, and is it different for each gender? So probably thinking about Ephesians chapter 6 verse 1 where it says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, and maybe thinking about Exodus chapter 20 where it says, honor your father and your mother. I think three things to note. The first thing is that the obedience is in the Lord. So if a parent is instructing a child or telling a child to do something that is unlawful, that is harmful, that is sinful, obviously a child is not obligated to do that. So if mom and dad says, hey, go rob the bank, we have a Bible verse that says obey your parents, obviously that is not something that would honor God. That is not what the Bible is commanding at all. And I'm assuming that that would not be normative in any way, but I want to say it because it's in the verse there. The other thing to note is that when it says children, I believe it's speaking to those who are living under the provision, who are under the household of their mother and their father. And at what time that changes is going to be dependent on that child. So it's not that that command ends when a child is 16 or a child is 17. I think that as long as a child is living under the provision of mom and dad, that they need to obey their parents. Now, that doesn't mean that as soon as a child moves out that they should be a hellion. I think the overarching commandment principle here is in Exodus where it says to honor your mother and your father. So while you're living in their household, understand that mom and dad have authority over you. As you become an adult, they don't have that same authority over you, but they do still occupy the office of mother and father. And so that needs to be honored. That needs to be considered weighty and significant. They need to be respected. And even when your parents do things that are not respectable or honorable, you can still honor the fact that they are your mother and your father. Now, one thing. I'm a parent. I have 3 younger kids, and when I read in Exodus 20, honor your mother and your father, I automatically think that my kids should honor me, and clearly that's true. But the command to honor your mother and your father is not directed to kids. It's directed to God's community, which means we ought to be a community that honor our mothers and fathers, meaning when I read Exodus 20, honor your father and your mother, I shouldn't just think of my children, I should think of my parents. And what does it look like for me to consider them as being significant, to be weighty, to honor them, even though I have my own home and my own wife and my own children, I have my own family, I still need to honor them. That is still good for me and good for them and something that glorifies God. And I would say this, as parents who are teaching our children to be obedient and to honor us, the best way to do that is to model that in the way that we honor our parents. So I guess just a little word of caution. Don't hear these verses as just being to your kids, but you are still a child, I am still a child, I still have a mom and dad, and the fact that I'm 35 and out of the house doesn't mean that I don't have to honor them anymore. I'm still commanded by God to honor them. So, hope that helps. If there's anything else we can do, feel free to email or text in another question. Thanks a lot.